Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Tar, and this movie is directed by Todd Field, and it stars Kate Blanchett, and I really loved this movie, and it was a huge surprise for me, and I was first introduced to this movie by its trailer that dropped like back in October is when I first saw it, and it looked interesting, and it kind of looked like a movie that I would enjoy, and ultimately what I kind of got from this movie was, I know this might upset some people, but what I was hoping to get out of The Social Network. And it was just everything that I wanted from that movie, and it was just in this movie. And it also kind of reminded me of Steve Jobs in a way. Like, it kind of reminded me of Aaron Sorkin material. And the movie is very dialogue heavy, and nothing really happens except dialogue, and well, there are plenty of things that happen in the story, and there's lots of character to these characters, if that makes sense. There is a lot going on, and I do think this movie looks great, and this movie is very well shot, and there's some really nice long takes, and those are mostly in the first half of the movie from memory, where you see these long takes, and they're basically going on for the entirety of the scene, and each scene there's something to get out of it, and there's always something interesting going on with the characters, and in terms of story there isn't really much going on. It kind of is more about watching these characters move from point A to point B, and you just see the progression of everything moving along, and it is kind of unpredictable where it goes at certain points, and even parts where you can see where it's going, it is never unsatisfying once you get to that point. And I thought Kate Blanchett was really great in this movie, and it might be one of my favorite performances from her, if not my favorite performance from her. And there's so much that she brings to this role, and everyone else does a great job. Mark Strong, he was great, even though he's not in it a lot. And everyone else I'm not really familiar with. And I didn't really have a problem with any of their performances, and nothing really stood out to me as distracting. And I thought the music in the movie was great, and since our main character is a musician, you're probably expecting that there's going to be music in the movie, and there is music in the movie. And one thing that kind of stood out to me a little bit was that whenever characters speak languages other than English, sometimes you get subtitles for it, sometimes you don't. And I feel as though that was done intentionally, because like what they're saying is like not really important to the story, and it's like, oh, you can just pick up on what they're trying to communicate just by looking at how they're acting, if that makes sense. Not the actors themselves, but the characters, like the situation that they're in, the scene that they're in, and you can just kind of pick up on what they're communicating, even if you don't understand specifically what they're saying. And this movie is slightly over 2.5 hours long, but it never got boring to me, and there's lots to soak in with every half hour. There was like so much to soak in about the movie. It's like I watched basically an entire movie just from 30 minutes of the movie, but I never felt as though like the movie was too long or it was dragging at any point. I was never bored, and what keeps you in is the dialogue and the characters, and that's most of what you get out of the movie. And this movie is also a character study, and I also like that element about the film. And in terms of negatives, I was looking for flaws for this movie consistently. Like, what about this movie do I not like? And I really couldn't find anything. And after watching the movie, I let it sit with me for a while, and I really couldn't think of anything that I didn't like, really. And it was just a really enjoyable experience for me. I love the characters. I love the goals for the film. I love the presentation of everything. And the movie looks great. And the film overall just gave me everything that I wanted out of a movie like this, and it completely delivered. And I hope that you do check this movie out, even though it is 2.5 hours long, and it can kind of sound really boring. On top of that, it's not a fast-paced movie. It does take its time, and from that perspective, it does kind of sound boring, but for me personally, it was never boring ever, because I was just so invested in what was going on, and I would highly recommend that you check it out. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Tar a 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Tar, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Women Talking, so look forward to that. But until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.